I was asked the question, what does it mean that Christ is Lord of the Sabbath? Okay, he's Lord of the Sabbath. A lot of people, when we debate the first day of the week versus the seventh day of the week, we use the term Christ is the Lord of the Sabbath. So what does that mean? First, we have to see that the Sabbath was given to man. When you look here, the book of Exodus, chapter 16, verse 20, starting at verse 22, but we're going to read at verse 29, okay? The book of Exodus, chapter 16. That's very important, because most of the time when we read about the Sabbath, we go to the Ten Commandments. The book of Exodus, chapter 20, starting at verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Why? 6 days thou shalt labor. Labor is not always physical work, but labor and do all thy work. However, but the seventh day is, the Sabbath of, from, belonging to the Lord thy God. So it's from the Lord thy God. This is interesting, powerful. The seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. So we understand that Christ is the Lord of the seventh day, which is the Sabbath. Okay? Now we're going back over here. And let's look at this. See, for the Lord has given you the Sabbath. Okay? 29. The book of Exodus 16. 29. Remember, Christ says that the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So that means that the Sabbath had to be given to a man. And we see this in the book of Exodus, chapter 16, before the Ten Commandments was given, even though they understood that they had to keep the Sabbath, because at verse 28, and the Lord said unto Moses, how long refuse ye to keep my commandments and my laws? So they already knew that they had to keep it. See, for the Lord has given you the Sabbath. Therefore he giveth on the sixth day the bread of 2 days. That's a blessing. 2 days in 1 day. Give us this day our daily bread. Daily bread, but on the seventh, on the sixth day, okay, for on the sixth day, the bread of 2 days, because you need to ask for that. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Why? Because the Lord has given it to you. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of, from. You see that word? Everybody know the meaning of this powerful 2-letter word. Of the Lord thy God. Now let's go and let's turn some here. I got to get the reading in kind of quick. Okay? At that time, Jesus went on the Sabbath day, on the seventh day, through the corn, and his disciples were hungry and began to pluck the ears of corn. Is it wrong to go and pluck food from your garden and eat it? And to eat, is it wrong? Is it, we want to jump here. How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore, is it lawful to do well on the Sabbath day. Christ is doing well on the Sabbath day, which makes him Lord of the Sabbath. To eat is to do well on the Sabbath day. But when the Pharisees, chapter 2, but when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, Behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful. So they saying they're not doing well on the Sabbath because it's not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day. But he said unto them, Have you not read? Most of the people that debate the Bible do not read it. Okay? But he said unto them, Have you not read what David did when he was and hungered, and they that were with him, how he entered into the house of God, the temple, okay? How he entered into the house of God and did eat the showbread, all right? And was not lawful for him to eat, neither for them which were with him, but only for the priests. Or have ye not read, meaning you haven't read this, in the law, how that on the Sabbath day the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are blameless? But I say unto you that in this place is one greater than the temple, not the Sabbath, the temple, he says. But if ye had known what this means, I would have mercy. God told Moses, I shall have mercy on whom I choose, and I shall have compassion on whom I choose. I will have mercy and not sacrifice. Ye would not have condemned the guiltless. Okay? For the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath day. And behold, there was a man which had his hand withered. And they asked him, saying, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? That they might accuse him. So is it lawful to heal? And he said unto them, What man shall there be among you that shall have one sheep, and if it fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, will he not lay hold on it and lift it out? How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore, question now, is it lawful to do well on the Sabbath day? Then saith he to the man, Stretch forth thy hand. And he stretched it forth, and it was restored whole, like as the other. When we say Christ is Lord of the Sabbath, they were saying that Christ is profaning, disrespecting the Sabbath day because he's healing on the Sabbath. Christ says he is Lord of the Sabbath. We read that the Sabbath was given unto man to do well on the Sabbath. This is what the Sabbath is for, to do well on the Sabbath. What do you think about that?